Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Shri Nitai Gauranga Rai ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Dev Sabhadra ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Kanaya ki jai, Kuntaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Brihat Madanga ki, Gau Premanandi, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and all glorious to Sri Prabhupada. Haribol, Namo Vishnu Vidaya, Krishna Prasthava Kaleshwar, Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste. Can we change this cushion, please? It's really bad for my back. It's too soft, far too soft. Yeah, now it's pain. It's not, it's too soft, far too soft. Hook up. No, take that one away. It's too soft.
Too soft.
Yeah. This is better like this. Yeah, no mat at all. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I guess you're reading Lilamrta first. Is that the idea? Yes. Normally. And we're regulars. Are you staying here, Dharma, or you live nearby? You stay here, or you live near? You live near? Kulim. You come all the way from Kulim. 20 minutes, yeah. It's not much, really. Not by standards of other cities, it's quite close. 20 minutes in Paris is very close. In KL also, I guess. Where are you reading from? I mean, you're probably reading from here, but is there a special place on this page? That's where the marker was on this page. It was like this. Here, so the marker was here. Okay, this doesn't mean anything. Okay. Om Jnana Timrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Apitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upagadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. We're reading from the Prabhupada Lilamrta, Chant Hare Krishna and Fight. This is a very significant section of the Lilamrta, which is a historic point in our movement, a very significant point in our history. And this is, let's see where Srila Prabhupada is. I guess he's in India, I don't know. Another of Srila Prabhupada's GBC men, Satsvarup Das Goswami, had recently replaced Rameshwar Swami as Srila Prabhupada's secretary for the month. Prabhupada was having his senior devotees in the last, you could say last year more or less, every month, a new one. Prabhupada was planning, you see. Srila Prabhupada, Satsvarup asked one evening while sitting with Prabhupada in his quarters, when I first came here, Rameshwar Maharaj said you've been speaking about how Krishna consciousness would rise to power in the United States. I find it hard to have that vision, since now it's just the opposite. Prabhupada said, it's true, but now it has only taken its roots. You have to water and protect it, then you will get fruit. You have to give it protection. People must hear about us by our books, and we have to talk about the books. So it is not that it will happen overnight, Satsvarup Maharaj said. No, said Srila Prabhupada, gradually it will grow. The seed is there. Now protect it by introducing more and more books in every house. I don't know how your, let's say, involvement in book distribution is here in Malaysia. We don't hear much. Usually it's not very significant. Why, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's a reason. But it's something that we were, I mean, when the movement was growing here in the 1980s, book distribution was at the forefront. You were, that time, you were also involved. Remember, Kailash? And Dharma, you may have been coming. I don't think you were actively involved in full-time service in 1985. But from 1985 onwards, book distribution was emphasized, at least for... Pardon? Yeah, we had about 4 traveling parties throughout Malaysia with 3 or 4 brahmacharis in each, going in different directions. Even ladies were going out, Lajja and others were going out, Kamalangi, on book distribution, in Kuala Lumpur at least. And I don't remember the amounts, but sometimes we were amongst the medium or small temples, we would be top in the world in book distribution. And, of course, book distribution has changed a lot since those days in terms of the demographics. India has now become, we have the Bhadra campaign. Have you heard of this campaign, the Bhadra campaign? Bhadra campaign. Bhadra. Bhadra. Yeah. Bhadra Purnima. Yeah. Bhagavatam sets. You know, every year Vaisheshika Prabhu was asking me, can you try to get Malaysia to do something? Well, they were doing something, and I think they did better this year than previous years, but very small in one sense. We're all very small. Considering the size, as Prabhupada says, it's gradual. It will take time, but he's saying it's through these books that the influence will actually happen. It may take time. They may not read the books right away, but gradually it will influence people to take up Krishna consciousness, or to be convinced about spirituality, what it really means. So the Bhadra campaign is for distributing Srimad Bhagavatam sets. You have Tamil sets here. You have English sets here. You have Chinese set. They have the Chinese Bhagavatam sets. Pardon? Complete? Complete. So we should have Chinese Bhagavatam sets here for our Chinese congregation, those who speak Chinese. Very important. And any other language which is significant in this country. I don't know about Malay or Indonesian, Bahasa. You have the Bhagavatam complete in Bahasa Indonesia? What? Not yet. After all these years, we've not finished it. What canto are we on? Up to the 10th canto. Not bad. They're up to the 10th canto. I mean, even in French, believe it or not, it's never been completed after the 10th canto, part 3. Only Prabhupada's translations were translated. And since 1985, nothing's been done. Because everything collapsed in France for 30 years, nothing was done at all, practically. So recently it's been revitalized. We have devotees working on the remainder of the Bhagavatam now. And we're hoping in our lifetime to see it in print. Let's see. 10th canto is translated now. It's not printed, but it's finished. 11th canto, not as huge. 12th canto is more or less finished also. So we're working on the 11th canto now to see the Bhagavatam is fully available in French language. A lot of people speak French all over Africa. Half of Africa is French-speaking, practically. Maybe a third of Africa is French-speaking. And of course, in Indonesia be here, and Indonesia is a large population, big potential. But to distribute Bhagavatam sets to, it's not that necessarily everyone buys them, but to institutions and significant scholars and different persons who may take this seriously, significant leaders of society. And then we have the Live to Give campaign, and that's perhaps a little easier to relate with. Bhagavad Gita, from September through to the end of December, beginning of January, we have Live to Give campaign, which is to try to distribute as many Bhagavad Gitas in all languages all over the world as we can. And I presume you have something going on here, Jayaradhika. You have some book distribution campaign here during that period?
No, they display the Bhagavad Gita on the...
You have like a display of the Gitas. I remember we used to have them piled up over here. I can't remember her name. Well, Mataji, she was into it one time. I don't know if she's still around.
Oh, one hour.
Yeah.
Lord Hare.
Is that okay? I don't know if she's still into it or not, but married. Well, that's not the end of the world when you get married. There's still hope. Pardon? Oh, she's in Ipoh. Okay. Anyway, most of the books this year in France, huh? Is that in the Prabhupada Book Marathon, December. But you have Rath Yatra here is in December still, right? You have several Rath Yatras in December. They're the best places for distributing books, Rath Yatra. At the Paris Rath Yatra, we average on the parade about 500 Gitas just on the parade alone. It's the best place to distribute Bhagavad Gita is Rath Yatra. You can distribute masses of books on Rath Yatra. People are open-hearted, friendly, They're in their houses or shops, they've got money. It's the best time to distribute books, Rath Yatra. Mass book distribution. Prabhupada himself wrote, with Rath Yatra and mass book distribution we will conquer the world. They must go together, it's not one or the other, they both are important. You cannot have a real Rath Yatra without pushing book distribution. Or not pushing it, but making that an integral part of the festival. To distribute as many books as you can. And they're the best time, and it's good you have it in Rath Yatras there in December, because it gives an extra impetus to distribute more books. Don't say, oh, we have Rath Yatras, we can't concentrate on books. It means it's the best time to distribute books. Not because we can. It should be, therefore we can. Not we can. We can. Every single devotee can distribute books, young and old. Our top book distributor in the marathon went on book distribution basically for the first time and done a little bit on Harinam over the years, right? Isn't it? Doina. She hardly done anything before the marathon. Just on Saturday Harinam, working lady. Working, single lady, working lady. But some or other, she decided she was going to give her heart and soul during the marathon, and she distributed over 1,000 gitas on her own during the marathon. And she was working every day, 6 hours. After work, she'd go out for 3 hours, and during her lunch, she'd do another spree. On her way to work, she'd distribute books. And she came top. Top, never done it before. She was amazing. I mean, even our seasoned book distributors couldn't keep up with her. She was, she's a slim girl. She's not strong, very slim. She's not even from France, but she speaks French. And she was really amazing. Totally amazing. And she'd go to the morning. She decided to stay in the temple during the marathon so she could focus. And she'd go to the morning program before going to work. And then in the evening, mostly in the evening. Plus weekends she had a bit more time. Sometimes, a couple of days she did over 100 gitas in one day. And believe me, it's not the same. It's not easy to distribute Bhagavad books in France, I'll tell you. What do you think, Jivananda?
It's a lot of mercy.
Oh my God, it's a lot of mercy. And he's tried it. He knows what it's like. Ooh. Especially if you're not French. And even if you are French, I don't know if it makes much difference, really. But it's tough. We've had some of the top book distributors in the world in the old days came to France, and one of the top 3 book distributors in the world from Switzerland was in tears after a day of trying to distribute books in France. It was just like, what is going on here, Where are these people coming from, It's like, before you open your mouth, no, 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 no. You don't, before, no. And it's like, before you even open your mouth. That's if you're lucky. Usually they just walk past you if you don't exist. But that's a common thing all over the world, of course. People are so dull, so unfortunately, have no idea what they're missing. Whatever you dress in, it makes no difference. Doesn't matter much.
Is this confined to Hare Krishna or any public people who want to sell something?
Pretty much, it's a national default to say no before you even know what you're saying no to. It's a national default. They're trained like that. It's right there in the annals of French education to say no without even knowing what you're saying no to. Because if you say no, you can easier say yes, but if you say yes, it's more difficult to say no. So say no. It's a bit like Sukracharya's philosophy with, Bali Maharaj, just say no. It's safer to say no. Don't give him anything. They got this kind of default. Maybe they're followers of Sukracharya there or something. But yeah, it's very difficult. It's easing up because people are getting less and less. They're becoming more and more Europeanized, because it's all one union. You can just walk across any border you like. There's no passports involved. You can work in any country and do what you like if you're European, more or less. It's kind of becoming Europeanized, but still it's got this kind of still has got that kind of character. But it's such a, as Jivananda Prabhu said, lots of mercy. Trinada pisa nichena terora pisa hishnuna. You have to practice humility and tolerance and respect for others. Hari Bol. Shakti Mata, Hare Krishna, good to see you. And yeah. And Harinam, we do Harinam every day. We have Harinam going out every day right now. A couple of devotees go out every day on Harinam in Paris. 6, 7.
Receptive to Harinam.
Huh?
They are receptive to Harinam, they don't like.
No. Well, I wouldn't say they're receptive to Harinam. They're not like, they don't, they just walk by as if it's not existing. You know? They try their best to pay no attention. But some people do. I mean, some people, there's always some people. Krishna sends some. Always somebody. Yeah. Anyway, here's different. Everywhere's different. I mean, I don't know what you've got going on here. I don't see. I don't know. I simply don't know. I don't see any devotees going out full time on book distribution anymore.
Only Mali Shanti, Singishwara's niece.
Oh.
She goes out every day. She posts on Facebook. You know?
Where?
In KL.
KL.
Bangsa, I think she will.
Is that right? That's very nice.
Put up,
Oh, that's very nice. Book tables are very good. I don't know about in this country, but even in France, well, because it's against the law and we often get stopped, but you put book table up, actually people don't, it doesn't reciprocate much to people there. They're just not into it, you know, there's just too many things going on. But if you have Harinam with a book table, it's quite nice. People come up. Sometimes. Yeah, a lot of devotees have book tables and you can do a lot of books. It's easier than going up and out. Many people have a hesitancy about going to people and saying, excuse me, can you you lose your words, you're scared or whatever it is, you don't know who they are, you don't know what they're going to say. Damn, go away!
You speak as you.
Huh?
You speak as you.
Oh, well, I don't hope they don't do that here, do they? I can't imagine they do that here. Especially, well, they will never do that if you're dressed like this, of course. They don't usually do that. It's very, very rare. Used to be, in this time, 70s, it was like that. Very rare. Even in France, they may say no, but they don't usually respond more than that. They may speak some nasty words in French if they don't like cults, But that's also not very often, once in a while. Otherwise, they just know and just walk on. Anyway, this is a time when there was a big challenge in the 70s. So Prabhupada said it will gradually grow. Again, Prabhupada referred to the upcoming New York court case. There was a big court case trying to stop the devotees in many ways. The movement, there was accusations, there was brainwashing accusations, that we're brainwashing people, that we were a dangerous cult, that we shouldn't distribute books, especially in airports. There's all kinds of charges coming. And there's a big court case in New York to establish whether or not the Hare Krishna movement was an authorized religion. Because in America, there's a law of freedom of religion, and if you're actually considered a religion, you can't really be stopped, because it's a constitutional law, governmental law, which is standing law. And so, is the Hare Krishna movement a bona fide religion, or is it not? Big court case. There was a lot of challenges against it. Again, Prabhupada referred to the upcoming, and Prabhupada said, at least tell them to read our books. This is our statement. Our defense is that you first of all read these books and then give your statement. Pretty hard for these type of materialistic people to read Prabhupada's books, huh? Can you imagine? However, I remember one incident of which Sri Ramaswamy relates from, I guess it was when he was GBC in the UK, and there was a big challenge lobbying in the Parliament House to stop the Hare Krishnas from having public worship at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. You may be familiar with that or not, I don't know. Some of you have you've been to the Bhaktivedanta Manor. Jai Radhika, you've been there? Not yet, not yet. Hare Krishna, Jai, Radha Krishna Kanaya ki Jai, Krishna Tai Gauranga Rai ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki Jai. So there's a lobbying in the Parliament House. I mean, that's the government house of the United Kingdom, just like you have your Parliament House here, where they make final decisions on things. So it went to the Parliament. It went right there. The Prime Minister of England and all the ministers, everyone, had to decide what was to happen. It went so far. It was a big case, really big. And one of the most significant people in deciding this is, believe it or not, the Queen she's more influential than you think. Very powerful person, actually. I don't know about her son, but she was very powerful. She had what's called a councillor who represents her in Parliament. And he gives the Queen's opinion. And that goes a long way, if necessary. So he took it up to look at Prabhupada's books. And an elderly gentleman in his 70s or something, you know, usual English guy, smoking, drinking, meat eating. He was a typical English person, his late 70s, similar age to Prabhupada. And he read the Prabhupada Lilamrta. He read this book. Maybe not this one, but he read maybe the British one, I don't know. But he read the Prabhupada Lilamrta. And Sri Ramaraj, he called the representative of Iskcon to come and see him. So Sri Ram Swami went to see him. And he said to Sri Ram Swami, he looked at him after he talked a little while, and he said, "You do not know what a great thing your teacher has done." But a kind of a funny question or a statement to make to an initiated disciple of sannyasi, a GBC. You don't know what a great thing your spiritual master has done. So it's kind of a trick statement. What do you say? I do or I don't? If you say I do, that means you're disagreeing with him. And if you say you don't, that makes you look like a fool. So it's a difficult statement to respond to, isn't it? When an unknown person in a significant position makes a statement like that. So, you know, knowing Indian state, sure. Yeah, this means yes, no, it's your right. Without saying no, you kind of... Because the man wasn't Indian, he was a typical Britisher, you see. Not Indian, no. Why would he be Indian? The Queen's chief counsellor would not be an Indian. Now, sometimes it may be. Of course, we see Indian people rising to power in America and in the UK, all over the place. They're taking significant government posts. But anyway, he wasn't. He was a typical Englishman, and Shiva Ramaraj didn't know what to respond. And he looked at him and said, "I know you don't know." I said, "I'll tell you why you don't know." He said, "Because you're still a young man. You're in your 40s. I know what it's like when you're in your upper 70s. He said, no human being could do what he did." He said like that. I read the book. You know, publishing so many books, traveling the world, preaching whatever he was doing, writing, translating, doing this, doing that. Nobody could do that. Come on, he said. He was intelligent. He could understand. Maybe the philosophy is not my cup of tea, but this man is not an ordinary man. He's not, you know, he's not just somebody sat on a chair and people worship him. He's a man who's done the impossible, he said. This is impossible to do for a normal person. Impossible, he said. So one can understand there was some appreciation there. Perhaps his statement may have had a significant effect on the decision, because the decision was to allow the worship to go on under conditions at least. And to this day, of course, it's very big. They get about 50 to 70,000 people for Janmashtami at the manor. And they built a huge hall now. It's called the Haveli. Massive hall. Massive, I mean, not so massive, but a big hall where thousands of people can come for programs and so on. But anyway, back to 76, I guess. He was completely serious, and he insisted the devotees get the authorities to read the books as legal evidence. Srila Prabhupada he wasn't joking, he was serious. Srila Prabhupada continued, Krishna says, Sarva Dhamman Parityagya, surrender to me and give up all other religions. Now the question may arise, why we shall surrender? Then you can argue and go on for 3 years. The whole thing will come out. What is God? What is creation? What is your position? Why you should surrender? And so on, and so on, and so on. What do you think? Yes, Srila Prabhupada, we should introduce the books as much as possible. I'll write a letter to New York and tell them to emphasize this. Bring all these books in the court, Prabhupada said. One time in Calcutta there was a big lawyer named Mr. Ghosh. So on one case he brought so many books for argument. The judges were friends, so they very mildly criticized him. Oh, Mr. Ghosh, you have brought the whole library. Yes, my lord, said Mr. Ghosh, just to teach you law. Srila Prabhupada laughed and repeated, yes, my lord, just to teach you law. Yes, that's what you say in the court. Yes. Haribol Mukunda. We have to say, said Prabhupada, we never tried to brainwash. We have done exactly according to Shastra, authority. Here is the evidence. We have not manufactured anything. So they must read all the books. I think you should take defense in that way. He wasn't the least bit, I mean, even his court was just to preach from the books, not to try to defend oneself with some pseudo-materialistic arguments, Try comparative arguments. No, straight to the point. Our defense statement is already written in your books, said Hari Shori. Certain sections, asked Satsrup, or should we say that they have to read all the books? Prabhupada shouted, all, line by line. Our defense is 84 volumes. I mean, what can you say, Prabhupada was just so confident. Guru Kripa Swami said, but they'll say, if we read all these books, we'll become brainwashed too. That is my duty, said Prabhupada. You are trying to brainwash me, and I'm trying to brainwash you. And you're all brainwashed. Everyone in this world is the term brainwash, you know this term? Kind of like, like a dummy, you're like, just told something and you just kind of like, become like a dummy, following. You have no brain of your own, Just follow. But everyone's following the society. I was even seeing today, some of the priest actually next door with his mask on, They were brainwashed. Brainwashed. Every health person knows it's far more dangerous to wear a mask than it is to not wear a mask. It's really bad for your health to wear a mask. Really bad. You're just inhaling dead air. People believe this is making you safe. It's not at all. I remember in the marathon that year during COVID, we didn't stop in France. We were still distributing books on the marathon. And nobody stopped in France. We thought that, it was actually a lockdown, so we thought we couldn't go out. So when we went and looked, all the beggars were out, all the hawkers were out, everybody was out, we weren't stopping. Police were doing nothing. Life as usual, practically. So we started the marathon late that year. And we're going out, and we were staying in this real dungy place downtown. And I was staying nearby, but I was regularly going to the place the boys were staying in. And 2 out of the party had to take vaccines. They'd been to England, and the rest didn't take. And during the marathon, 2 devotees got COVID, the 2 who got the vaccine, and nobody else got COVID. Only the ones who were vaccinated got COVID. Really bad. Really bad. And no one else even got it. They're living together. Everyone was just, brainwashed. Brainwashed. You'll be happy to know that no more than normal people died in the world. It's just that 5 million less people died of flu than normal, that was all. They just give a different name to it, basically. But people are brainwashed like this. You're brainwashed to believe in science. You're brainwashed to believe in education. You're brainwashed to begin with just about everything you think of. Conditioned like this. So Prabhupada said, you're trying to brainwash me. Advertising, social media, television, this, that, the other, education, everything, to make you think in such and such a way. So Prabhupada said, and we're going to try to brainwash you to think spiritually, not just, whatever you want to call it, materially, mode of ignorance. Yeah. This is going on. That is the tussle. It's a tussle. The tussle is going to be there. Don't think preaching's easy. It is wrestling. You are trying your strength and I'm trying my strength. Otherwise, where is their fight? You have got right to not agree with me, and I have got right to not agree with you. Now let us settle. Of course, they say might makes right. So that the majority rules. It's the way it is. But no, it does not work because we're taking shadow of Krishna. And that's the real essence of it. And we just hope that other people will realize that that's the real, our real, real platform, our real consciousness is in relationship with Krishna, not just in relationship to the material world. So there's people from time immemorial who've been, kept in the dark, in ignorance of this, pretty much, especially nowadays. Social media and what have you is really a massive tool to keep people in the dark. Huh? Really powerful. Really powerful. I mean, you see your kids, some of you have got kids, I don't know how it is in Malaysia, but in most countries, the kids are just addicts to the mobile phone. They're addicted. Well, they're not reading about Krishna on the mobile phone, I can tell you that. Games, nonsense, chats going back and forth, all meaningless stuff. Wasting, their brains are just being sucked out, basically. They're being completely dulled. Can't think for themselves straight anymore. That's why kids are so, many times now, they're so spaced out. They're so spaced out, Can't see anything clearly. Act on impulse and so on. It's all meant to happen like this, Kali Yuga. It's not the one person, this is Kali's business. Huh? Kali's business. To make everyone real dull. The age of irreligion. It's what it's meant to be, what do you expect? So it's a tussle, at least for a period of time. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has introduced Krishna consciousness. And it's a tussle. It's a real tussle. It's a tussle. We're having a tussle because we're also brainwashed. Right? We've also been conditioned and we have all of our attachments and doubts. You grow up thinking that this is what really, what's really good and what will make you happy and so many things. Previous life as well, of course. But we're so conditioned. Very hard to let go, isn't it? Not easy. Not easy. I'm not going to read the Bhagavatam this morning, it's already 8:40 here. In Bhubaneswar on February the 2nd, the appearance day of Lord Nityananda, Srila Prabhupada held the cornerstone laying ceremony. How many of you have been to Bhubaneswar? Anybody? Sabal? Oh, Sundarananda, Kirtananda. You've been Bhubaneswar. Quite a few of you have been Bhubaneswar. A holy place near Jagannath Puri. Holy place. It's part of the greater Purushottam Kshetra. And Prabhupada was there in 1977, beginning of 77. And he did the groundbreaking ceremony there. Cornerstone laying ceremony. About 1,000 people came during the day to take prasadam. It was very remote in those days. I went the year after, at 78 or 79, 79 I think I went there first time. And it was really remote even then. just a couple of straw huts in the middle of nowhere in those days, even in 79. Nothing had been developed whatsoever. Just 2 straw huts. That was it.
No proper road.
No, I mean on the Iskcon property. Well, there was some kind of road. It wasn't like now. It was just a small kind of country road, you know. It was in the middle of nowhere. There was next to no development around. I mean, some little bit, but not much. Mostly just a village-type place, but pretty remote. I mean, more remote than the Krishna Balaram temple. This shows the 50th anniversary of the opening of the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan. So when that was opened, it was remote also. But I mean, you know, it's only half a kilometer walk until you reach the edge of the town, you know. But this was further. I mean, Bhubaneswar was a bigger city. And it was probably a few kilometers really out of the mainstream of the city at that time. Now it's in the center of the city, more or less. The same with our KL temple in Tamanyal. We were there a couple of days ago, yesterday. It was mentioned when we first moved. It's also the 40th anniversary this year of our moving into the Tamanyal temple in Kuala Lumpur. 40 years, 1985. Around about this time, in March, April, we moved, something like that, I believe, if my memory serves me right. 40 years has passed, and it was then on the edge, right on the edge of the city. I mean, there was jungle across the road there, basically. It was jungle. There were no condominiums, none. There was Tanulai Gardens was here on the other side of the hill, and that was the end of Kuala Lumpur. After that, it was rubber plantations all the way out, all the way to Port Dickson, basically, rubber plantations. And now you go 60 kilometers and you don't see, it's all built up, you know, out that way. All the way to the airport, practically, it's built up now, practically. Big changes. We used to have cobras there regularly coming to greet the deities or something. They would be there when we open the temple in the morning. Cobra would be there quite regularly. The jungle was right next door. And now it's not, of course, it's changed. Bhubaneswar particularly was a jungle. Nobody could imagine, what is this? How are we going to, what's the point in this remote place? There are dacoits and dangerous animals lurking around. And we're going to build a temple here? You know, they said the same thing about Vrindavan, of course. And now it's hardly remote now. It's like the center of, well, they've calmed it down until I've seen also. They've reduced the amount of traffic now. They're really working on it hard. But basically the whole Vrindavan area has just expanded like anything. And whatever, has to happen, has to happen. Sevasiva Rath, name of a person, attended and spoke. Prabhupada's disciple Sri Damodar also spoke, as did Prabhupada himself. Later, Prabhupada discussed with his disciples about how to manage the Bhubaneswar center. Some of the sannyasis admitted to Prabhupada they did not see much potential there. Why not? Questioned Prabhupada. This is the capital of Arya, or Orissa then. People are coming here. We have to have centers in every town, even if it is not a big center. Some have to work and stay there. Even if the people are coming every night only to eat the khichdi, that is also preaching. Take note of what Prabhupada said. One of the devotees said it was too far from town and Orissa was too poor. A better idea might be to try to build a big temple in Jagannath Puri. Srila Prabhupada replied that to build in Jagannath Puri was all right, but the Bhubaneswar was also important. Prabhupada's Aryan disciple Gaura Govinda Swami told Prabhupada that as soon as the annual India pilgrimage was over, all the devotees would leave, and he would be left alone with 1 or 2 brahmacharis. He was particularly suited to translating Prabhupada's books into Oriya, so he asked Prabhupada to give him someone to help manage the center. Srila Prabhupada asked, where is the fat one? Where is the fat one? Bring him here, Prabhupada said. And the devotee ran out to fetch Bhagavat. You don't know Bhagavat. He's a sannyasi in the Gaudiya Mass now. He's always in Iskcon. He took sannyas, but he just hangs around in Iskcon because he couldn't get sannyas in Iskcon. Amazing devotee, senior Prabhupada. You'll see his picture in many pictures with Prabhupada. Prabhupada's ringing the bell in Mayapur. Right next to him is Bhagavat. Prabhupada used to call him the fat one. He asked Prabhupada for sannyas. I don't know. I don't think they would put that in here. But he asked him, Prabhupada looked at him, and he looked at two other sannyasis who were there. There were two other sannyasis. They were also quite fat, actually. Many of the sannyasis got fat when they were in India because they'd be fed like elephants, by all the Indians. So they were both quite chubby also. And he looked at Bhagavat, and Prabhupada said, you want to take sannyas? Yes, Srila Prabhupada. He said, you're fat enough, but you're not fit enough. But he was he was a really amazing devotee. I love him. Yeah, you can't help but like Bhagavat. He had a lot of association with Prabhupada. He's a good devotee. I think he's still in his body, I'm not sure. But he wanted to take sannyas, so he couldn't get it because of various reasons. At the time the devotee found him, Bhagavat was sitting in the visitor's tent, telling the other devotees about his plan to go to New York. When he heard Srila Prabhupada wanted to see him, he assumed it was in connection with a cornerstone laying ceremony, since he was in charge. But as soon as he entered Prabhupada's room, he sensed something heavy was about to happen. Srila Prabhupada smiled and asked Bhagavat how he was. I'm fine, Srila Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada said, how would you like to stay here and manage this place? Well, Srila Prabhupada, I don't really think I can stay here. It's too hard. Couldn't you stay here and build this building? Prabhupada said, I could, but it is very difficult. I was all set to go to New York. Bhagavat began excitedly telling Prabhupada about a telegram from Adhikeshwara Swami in New York, inviting him to come and head an important preaching department in the temple. New York, said Srila Prabhupada, they have too many men in New York already. You don't have to go to New York. You should stay here. Bhagavat objected. He couldn't work with Gargamuni Swami, the GBC man for this area of India. Prabhupada replied that he was sending Gargamuni to Bangladesh. He wouldn't be in charge of Iskcon in Orissa anymore. Prabhupada would personally supervise Bhagavat. Pretty hard to get out of that one, huh? Ooh. Bhagavat Das's next objection was that his health was not good and he had to sleep a lot. This is a very healthy place, Prabhupada countered. You simply go out in the field to pass stool, then wash your lota, and afterwards clean the lota with the mud, and you can bathe with the same lota. In this way you will stay clean and healthy. Bhagavat then raised his ultimate objection. Srila Prabhupada, he said, to tell you the truth, I'm not chanting my rounds. That's why he said he wasn't fit. I think I better go to New York because there is good association there and I can become strong in my regulations. That's all right, Prabhupada replied. You are working very hard. So if sometimes you aren't chanting your rounds, that's all right. As long as you are working hard, you can do your rounds at another time. Well, said Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said, Bhagavat Das, according to the Gurvastakam, I can understand that whenever you please your spiritual master, you please Krishna. Prabhupada smiled, yes. Well, I guess so. If you want me to stay here, then I should stay. Yes, I want you to stay here. Make life members build this building and help manage the place. Although Prabhupada laid a cornerstone for a temple, the center had no funds or donors in sight and no established congregation. All the devotees had was faith in Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's train was to leave at 11 o'clock the next night. And Prabhupada sat in his little hut talking with his disciples until it was time to go. Can you imagine what it's like? You know, we're so blooming fussy nowadays, aren't we? One little thing and we're off, you know, isn't it? Little tiny thing upsets us and we make a campaign. Prabhupada didn't tolerate any of this nonsense. Surrender was Prabhupada's word. Surrender. Otherwise there's no progress. There's no spiritual progress. You may satisfy some unfortunate material desire. There's no spiritual progress without surrender. None. You can chant 1 billion years without surrender. How can we? It's not easy. And nowadays particularly there's almost a law against it. It's almost like illegal to expect someone to surrender. The conversation ranged from World War II politics to the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. At one point, Srila Prabhupada was saying how man cannot change the laws of nature. Man should not claim that he knows something or can do something unless he can stop the miseries of birth, death, disease, and old age. My position means my karma, Prabhupada explained. If I am in the plush Bhaktivedanta manner, I have the same suffering as I do in this hut. If I think now I am in the manner, I am happy, that is foolishness. But that is how they think. Then why are they dying? They should stop that. Can you, my disciples, help me in old age? You may try your best, but you should admit it is beyond your power. But as soon as you go back home, back to Godhead, everything is solved. He spoke about diets. Ghee, Prabhupada said, was not good for him, but to eat only boiled food was like starving. He said he was capable of fasting. If you give me nothing to eat for 3 days, I can do it. Gargamuni told Srila Prabhupada of a man he knew in Calcutta who was healthy at 90 and who attributed his health and longevity to his strict diet of only fruits. Gargamuni suggested Prabhupada try that diet, and Prabhupada agreed. Prabhupada mentioned the diet of his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He said he ate very little, but not only fruits. He liked to eat salty things, and his favorite preparation was made from chickpea flour and peanuts fried in ghee. You wouldn't think that's a particularly healthy diet, huh? Chickpea flour and peanuts fried in ghee. And after the talk, when the boys were commenting about Prabhupada's proposed fruit diet, Hare Shori remarked affectionately, he has said that before, but he will never do it. Prabhupada never followed diets. One diet only, prasadam. He wasn't here to, he was here to go back, to help us go back to Godhead. He wasn't here to teach us health diets. Haribol. We were finished there. Are you Trinity? Trinity? Ah, that's Trinity. Welcome. You came from Quantum. You live in Quantum? Yeah. Nice. I haven't been to Quantum for about 30 years. I used to go regularly. I went there in '84, first time. Actually, yeah, a couple of months after I arrived in Malaysia, early '84, I went to Quantum. Gyana Samudra, I don't know if you ever remember Gyana Samudra. He wasn't initiated then, but he was living there. And also Parthasarathi. You remember Parthasarathi? They were both initiated eventually. He was also working there in one of those plantations over there, managing there. They were both living over there, so we went to visit them. Must have been January, February. It was very rainy, I remember that, flooding. There have been quite a few times since then. We used to have a centre. We still have a centre in Quantum? A little house? I've not been for a long time. Yeah, Quantum. One of the best places for book distribution. Brahmacharis used to distribute lots of books in Quantum. Lots of books. the whole coast actually. Kuala Terengganu and Kota Bharu is very, very good for book distribution. Chinese people. Obviously not so many Indians over there, but all the Chinese. There's not many people go there, This side, all the salesmen and beggars all over here, Not many over there. No money. Hare Krishna. 9 o'clock, and we have to finish there. Anyway, so surrender. You ready? Are you ready to surrender? I've already surrendered. What are you talking about? I'm completely surrendered. Huh? There's a town in between Rawang and Tapa, or whatever it is. Slim River. There's a town between Rawang and Slim River called Surrender. It's not surrender, it's surrender. I go over that road and there's all these towns. There's one called Rasa, one called Surrender, one called Tapa. It's like, remember all these spiritual things, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Are you staying here today, Trinity?